fight how we train. Paddy the Batty Pimblett. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Paddy Pimblett's striking. We fight how we train, see how the way that he trains translates to his fight, and kind of talk about some of the failures in his training that translate not only into his power, into his striking, but his ability to actually fight his opponent. Okay? And then we'll be issuing a striking challenge at the end, all for fun, but not really for fun, maybe for some money. But first, we're going to be talking about it, and one of the reasons we chose Paddy Pimblett, again, I'm going to be going to UFC London this weekend. Fortunate enough to get a ticket and still be in the UK. So the other reason that Paddy likes to entertain trolls, I guess, and I like to consider myself a little bit of an internet troll, but also the world's best striking coach. And we're going to be going over some of the things that he does wrong, some of the things that he's learning, and some of the things that he does right. Okay, so a couple of little fun things first off. Well, here he is just blasting the bag, right? We can see him throwing big overhand shots, and he's taking kind of a big step into this one, right? We can see his weight kind of crossing the line, throwing this big punch, and you might think, man, why is he throwing these big wide punches? Why is he throwing this? You're never going to use those punches, right? Not full weight transitions here. Just boom, boom, right? Just big punch after big punch. Now, a lot of times, you might be right. However, we do wind up using punches like this in sequences when we get our opponent in a position where they're not able to get their head off the line, right? Anytime that we develop enough of an advantage on the line with our opponent, with our rhythm, our timing, we're going to find an opportunity to cross their line multiple times without them necessarily noticing or being able to interact, right? When somebody slows down a little bit and we find ourselves with a speed advantage, we start throwing combinations because at the beginning of a fight, we struggle crossing their line one time. Everyone's really sharp, and as soon as you throw one punch or one kick or one whatever, they're ready to interact with you. And this is a very important idea because as you break someone down, or in this case, Paddy Pimblett had already hurt him and caught him with a good punch, you develop the ability, the speed advantage because of their injury or their dizziness or whatever it is, however you classify what happens to you when you get hit. It slows you down. It stops you from being able to cross the line, transition your weight, and change positions. And you're kind of like in a slow-mo while your opponent is not. And we can see in this clip here that he does practice these punches, right? The punches that you practice that you throw when your opponent's hurt, or rather, when you have an advantage over your opponent. And that's a very, very important idea in boxing, is understanding that you do still want to practice those punches as well. Now, what does the rest of the fight look like? Well, the rest of the fight usually looks like you guys trading weight transitions, right? Before he gets hurt, he's able to see this right hand coming because Paddy's going to be stepping in, and he's going to be allowing him to see this weight transition coming because he's not really feinting, not really controlling the space. He's going to throw this little feint up, but we can see that his opponent has control of that lane with the hand. He's not really threatened. He comes in, and his head slips off the line as he makes his strike, and he eats a leg kick. Now, you might think that that might be the reason why he eats this big, huge, meaty left hook, okay? But we're going to talk about, number one, a few things about this, okay? Number one, at the beginning of the fight, it's much easier to set up opportunities to trade weight transitions with your opponent when you're fresh, right? Crossing the line here. But notice they wind up in a very similar position off the kick, okay? His head is here. His knee is here, and his foot is here, and they're in a kind of a line here. Paddy Pimblett's foot is here, his knee is here, and his head is here. He's in a very similar position. They're in a very mirrored positions with both of their weight on the front foot. Now, they're both going to attempt to throw left hooks. So the first thing that's going to happen is his opponent, Vendramini, is going to drop his back leg. He's going to take his head, he's going to cross the line, transition his weight to the back foot, and then he's going to throw his left hook. Paddy Pimblett is not going to do any of those things. From this position, he's not going to transition his weight back to the back foot. He's not going to change positions. He's just going to throw his left hook right away, and his opponent knows where his head is, okay? Now, there's a lot of reasons for this, and we're going to kind of take a little deep dive as to why some of the coaching failures and all this stuff. But there's a lot of other small things going on. But number one, and I didn't get a clip of this, but Paddy likes to kick a lot, Okay, if you're moving your head around a lot, it's very difficult to disguise your kicks, right? Because he wants to keep his head in a very similar place so he has a space to throw a kick. Now, we're going to take a look at a quick head kick here, right? Keeping his head kind of in the center of the line here, and this allows him to kind of sneak this head kick in here, right? Really, really sneaky shot here, not really transitioning his weight a lot, right? His kind of pendulum steps into it, but look at how he places his head in this zone, and it's a very slight pendulum step. He kind of fakes it, makes it look like it's going to go low, and then boom, kicks him in the head. And this is a technique, whoops, not this one. This is the technique that he practices in sparring. Again, we fight how we train, right? And if he's constantly transitioning his weight and crossing the line and changing positions, it makes it very difficult to do the kickboxing aspect of MMA, okay? Now, if you don't have an active guard and you don't know how to cross the line, transition your weight, and change positions, it makes it very difficult to add that stuff in if you don't know what you're doing. And so it's just, again, another technical thing. And again, we're going to go over some of those things that are going on with some of the technical problems. But that was one of the cool things that I saw in his training and in his fight that I studied, that he kind of does transfer into his punches, or into his fight. Very similar to the kind of, caveman style, just beating on the bags, practicing his KO punches, right? So, here we're going to take a look at a couple of different interesting things. Number one, the pendulum right hand here, okay? Now, as we see him take this step here, he's going to have to take this step and then cross the line, transition his weight, and throw his right hand. And taking the step allows him to not only start his punch here, right? Because if he doesn't take a step, his weight is going to come down here, right? And then his head is only going to be able to move this far. But by taking a big step, he starts his line here, and now once he gets his weight there, his head can cross all of this distance. And instead of his head ending in this position here, it's now able to end over here, and he's able to generate so much more momentum into his punch, okay? Now, as he does this move, notice his back leg kind of drags, okay? And that's because this is not a sharp move. This is a move that you usually want to disguise and kind of slide into. It's a pretty high-level move, and if you use it sharply, you're going to kind of alert your opponent sharply. But the move is I call this a pendulum right hand. The other move is kind of the pendulum step with a left hand control and then a right hand, but you're usually going to kind of tell your opponent that you're doing it. Now, we're going to take a look again here. Look at how far away he is from his opponent. Control, and now he's going to take that move, and now his head's going to go from this position here, way back here, to this big, giant weight transition here. Now, as we're going to close this one, we're going to go back to this sequence here. Watch him take that big step here, boom, and throw that right hand, and now, once he gets into this position, he's jumping off of the front leg to kind of do a pendulum step or a leaping left hook, but he's not actually bringing his back leg, okay? Now, what's actually happening is his back leg is kind of catching up to him, all right? And because of the fact that he's trying to chain these punches together, the big pendulum right hand into the left hook, he didn't actually fix his footwork yet, okay? So as we take that step, boom, when he throws this left hook here, instead of transferring his weight to the back foot, like we see his opponent doing here, he's going to get his weight down on the ground and then transfer his weight to the back foot. His leg is still in the air because he took this big step here, and his back leg is dragging now, okay? We're going to take a look at another angle of that here. He's going to control, and now he's going to do the same combination, right? Take a step off of the left hand here, and then throw the right hand. And now he's going to throw a left hand, and watch his back leg come back with him, okay? What's really going on here is he's using the lead hand to control the space to take the step with the left hand. That allows him to create the length in his line so he can step across his target and add more power to the right hand, which means that he's actually only throwing this left hand in hopes that he can control the line long enough to bring his back leg with him. Okay, so if we talk about that idea a few different ways, number one, that means that he's not transferring his weight to the back foot, he's not crossing the line, he's not transitioning his weight, which means that he's not actually getting power into his left hand. Spoiler alert, right? Spoiler alert. When we go back and look at here, how many punches does he land in this sequence here? He lands quite a few punches for somebody who, he's getting a knockout in the first round, right? But we can clearly see that he doesn't actually have any power. We can clearly see that he's just landing a large number of punches. He's already landed 2 very big shots. And it takes him like 3 more extra big shots along the way. Again, not really transitioning his weight. And again, we have a whole ton of other film to go over. But again, just to point out the dragging of the back foot. Boom. Again, using the left hook to control the space on the line enough to get back into his position. And then this would be the position that he would throw like a left leg kick or a left high kick from. Instead of transferring his weight to the back foot with the hook, he staves himself into this neutral position so that he can maintain an opportunity to kick, right? Which means, in theory, that he's using his arms, his hands as arm punches, which means he's not using boxing. He's using more like Wing Chun. And then when you split your opponent's line, you're supposed to kick them in the face when they slip or get off the line away from your arm punches, right? Anyway, just a little theory crafting for you guys. But as we continue to go look at a few things, here we're going to take a look at him doing the exact kind of same thing. And now, this is a very important clip. Watch him. He's going to pull counter, catch the backhand, and then move into this punch here with the right hand. And watch him throw that same left hook as he's bringing his back foot. It's not a big power punch. It's not the kind of punch that's he's driving his weight. He's not getting his weight to the back foot. But what is it doing? When he throws it, it allows him to stay on the line quickly to throw the rear hand again. And now notice he finds himself again in a very similar position where he has to again use the left hand to control the space to get back into position. And I want you guys to remember that pull counter. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later, okay? But a few things I want to talk about before we get into one of the big videos is his shadow boxing here. Now, here he's doing a kind of a striking version. He does an uppercut, and I want you to see how kind of square he is here, right? Uppercut, left hook, but his head is not really on the back foot, right? His head didn't really move that much. There's not a lot of weight on the back leg. We can see in the mirror, front leg, back leg, that this one has so much more of a bend and this one's so much more straight down that there's still more weight on that front leg. And now he's going to throw this hook to move all the way to the front foot and then move off the line. Now in the next sequence, we're going to see some very similar patterns. 1, 1, 2, and that's the big pendulum right hand. And watch him throw the left hook here. Okay? Is that not exactly how he does it in the fight and winds up getting smacked, by the way, by a much smaller guy? So again, there's a reason why the much smaller guy is hitting the much bigger guy with such force, and the much bigger guy cannot get that kind of force or that kind of reaction from the much smaller guy no matter how many times he hits him. Now again, as we pay attention to this video, 1, 1, takes that big step, boom, watch the bend in his back leg here, right? His leg is here, his leg is here, okay? As he moves forward, right, and he throws this left hook, his back leg is going to reposition itself, and he's going to find himself kind of in this bladed stance, but he uses the hook to drag his back leg forward, not to drive weight into his target. Again, to close the distance, not to attack his opponent. And again, we saw that someone, when you're entering their line, when you enter their line, sometimes they're able to use those traps that they're able to set and get their hand off the line and kind of outbox you. And again, this is someone who's much smaller than him, who has less degrees of acceptable failure in his technique, right? Being bigger gives you the opportunity to have worse technique and still come out ahead in an engagement simply because you have a reach advantage. You can have more fractures in your technique. And here he is getting blasted on the line by a much better punch. And again, 1, 2, and again, the exact shadow boxing technique. The kick has very little to do with it. Okay, the kick has very little to do with it. It's all about his positioning. Okay. Now we're going to take a look real quick at him moving straight back, and again his left hook here, causing him to get hit by another punch. And again, this is a fight that he won handily, right after getting dropped here and going, not dropped, but he gets hit here and then moves to the ground. But again, watch him throwing this hook, and he's not really getting his head off the line. Even though he's moving backwards with this, his head gets stuck on the line with that shot. He eats it, and then moving backwards on this one, eating this one as well. And again, trying to stay in a position where his head can stay on the line. Jab, hook, eating a big shot. And again, the much smaller guy able to use better technique to drive much more power and much more force into his punches. Now, real quick, just to interject a little bit, actually, we're almost there. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this video. This is his coach, trying to teach him how to get on the line, throw a right hand, throw an uppercut, and then get off the line. But I want to start, this is a clip that's on his channel. His coach is taking a small step here. He's not using the jab at all. He's taking the right hand, boom, throwing that shot, and then throwing the left hook to the body, which could be to the head, staying in the neutral position, and then trying to start bouncing and move off the line. And he's trying to teach this guy how to do that. One of the things that's going to happen in this video is we're going to see he's going to be doing that same move where he pendulums in, and then he has to drag his back leg. And his coach is going to tell him, number one, move out after you're done with that, right? You have to know how to throw a punch, keep your balance, your weight, and then get off the line after. And all of these kind of ideas connect together, and you have to understand not only the how to get onto the line, you have to understand what to do once you're there, and then you have to understand how what you did there is going to affect how you get off the line, okay? So he's going to tell him here, you're not paying attention, this, that, keep your legs here, okay? So in this video, his coach is addressing that he's dragging his back leg, and he's telling him to keep his leg in this very particular pattern, not to allow his leg to drag like a lazy cunt. That's what I mean, though. Now he's showing him here, boom, 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 and now he's getting off the line and step back. But he can see the break in the back leg, right? And he says, you're not doing it, though. Real quick, one of the ways that he learns to get off the line after doing that is jumping off the line here, right? And again, he's going to boom, boom, jump off the line. And this is what he's doing in the video. Now, I know that these are two different coaches, right? This guy's trying to teach this guy pendulum boxing, right? Now, pendulum boxing is very important. The idea of pendulum boxing is very important to understand how your movement and your momentum relate to your target, and that there's a constant flow between you and your opponent getting on the line, off the line, on the line, off the line, and using this idea to stress your opponent's technique. Think if you're a boxing fan, Errol Spence, he's constantly getting on the line and off the line and putting pressure on you and forcing you to make a move. And if you don't make a move, he might punch you in the face. And it's very important to understand that these three phases of combat are always present, and you constantly need to be setting up your striking patterns and setting up your exits in relation to your opponent and in relation to what you're going to be doing, and understanding all the best ways to get on the line and off the line. Okay? Now, in this clip, he's telling him that he's not doing it, but he's telling him to jump off the line here, jump, 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 throw the punches, and then jump straight off, not to drag his leg. But the problem is this guy doesn't understand any pendulum boxing. He doesn't understand how taking a big step into your punch affects your weight management, what you can do after, and how much longer it's going to take for you to make your next boxing move. Okay, and he doesn't understand that Paddy is trying to throw a real powerful punch, a punch that he feels like might actually affect his opponent. But again, this guy's not really. I don't think this guy's a fighter. His coach here. I think he might be a theorist or someone who doesn't really know how to move their head. We're going to be talking a little bit about that later, because he's not demonstrating it correctly. You're not doing it, though. Yeah, you're not doing it. Now we're going to take a look at another video here. Here he is trying to teach them how to use the double end bag. Real quick, he's going to show this little guy here. Looks pretty decent on the double end bag. I just want to point out, I actually sell a double end bag video series. It's a video set to teach you guys how to use the double end bag, teach you guys how to pull, counter, slip, set up your combinations, and set up your power punches on this bag, how to move around it, pendulum step, do all kinds of stuff. Check it out in the description. It's $49.99. Or if you check out my personal boxing coaching sessions on Patreon, it's one-on-one coaching. I make you videos like this about your training footage that you send in, and I teach you how to get better. I teach you what drills to do. I teach you how to improve your technique so that you can become the fighter that you want to be. But here he is doing this. And if you sign up for the coaching, I'll send you a free double in bag mastery video. If you don't want to, you can check it out and check out the reviews on Vimeo. It's excellent. But here, left hook, head on the front foot position. 1, 2, 3. No head movement when he's throwing any of these punches on the pads. Again, all this stuff has a direct translation to your fighting. Now, this sequence in particular is very important because this is him moving off the line. Boom, 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 throwing the hooks. This is him moving off the line, throwing the hook, and getting stuck in this position. But we see him practicing it and doing it and actually having some success, right? Some success, missing there, obviously, but getting hit in those positions. But practicing them multiple times. A little bit of him tired. And now, this is very important. Boom. Now watch his coach literally hit him in the face right there. Okay? This is him practicing that same left hook on the front foot. Boom, boom, boom. Right? The one that he's taking a step back in on the mitts or in the sequences here. This is the same left hook here getting hit. And that's exactly how he practices it on the mitts right there. Same thing. Throwing the hook. Getting his head stuck on the line. Getting hit with both hands. The left hand and the right hand. Oops, did I wear out my space bar? Boom. And again, hitting him. Literally hitting him and jarring his head in the training. Now, a few things. Number one, the biggest problem in the training is that he doesn't ever save any weight to get to his back foot. He doesn't transition his weight to his back foot. His back foot is always in the air, coming forward, instead of catching his weight when he throws the hook. When he practices this block here, he still doesn't transition any of his weight to the back foot. Okay? He still doesn't get his weight to the back foot. And again, that's going to make his right hand even better, which is one of the reasons why he's also, again, choosing to overuse the pendulum right hand in his training, even in his shadow boxing drills that he was doing there. Now, again, another one of these problems. He's going to be practicing this drill here, hook here, right? All the weight on the front foot again, rolls under this attack. But look at how he doesn't change positions and get to the back foot. He comes right up under it in basically the same position. The weight on the front foot. Again, not transitioning his weight toward the back foot. So even if he were to add a hook to this move, it still wouldn't have any power. Or it would only be good for throwing a right hand after. Okay? As we see him throw this kind of arm punch left hook here, it bleeds right into the right hand. So it's not like him practicing all his left hooks like that is a complete waste. It's that he only practices it in a way that allows him to take advantage of it when he's already hurt his opponent. And it's very important to practice boxing and practice the boxing moves that only work against a fresh guy as well. And I want to say even more so. Here he is practicing some of those moves on the double in bag. Actually, I didn't think he was that bad, but I can't see all of his training. And now we're going to take a look at some of his work on the heavy bag. Again, very important stuff in here. And we can see left hook here, weight on the front foot, left hook here. Did he transfer his weight to the back foot? Did he really cross the line? It looks like he stayed in position. Real quick, we saw him practicing pull counters as well, right? Whoops, god damn it. And then practicing pull counter there, beautiful. We saw him do that in the training. Now again, left hook to the body, like he practices. Look at his back foot, it's off the ground. Then he stomps, right? And now he's throwing a left hook to the head. Is he transitioning his weight to the back foot? No, he's again dragging his back leg when he throws the left hook. Again, this is a direct result of the training that he was receiving, the shadow boxing instructions that he was receiving. Again, because his coach doesn't understand the intricacies of getting on the line, making a strike that makes sense with the way that your momentum and your weight is shifting, and then getting off the line. So he prescribes him, actually in this video where he's telling him you're not doing it though, this and that, and then berating him and telling him he's an ass to work with. There's a bunch of other stuff too. Lazy cunt. But it's just demonstrating that this guy just doesn't, he's out of his depth. and he doesn't understand how to teach this guy how to chain these moves together. Now, if you're interested in learning the absolute best way to learn how to do all that stuff in your shadow boxing, learn how to do it on the mitts, and then learn how to take what you learn on the mitts and add it directly to the heavy bag so you can practice your best sequences of best ways of getting on the line, landing your strikes and getting off in a series, in a theory that I like to call the track theory. And it teaches you all the ways and all the places that you hide your head before you get on the line, and you hide your head to get off the line. Getting on the line and off the line again are some of the most important things that you can learn in boxing. And then learning how to chain and add your sequences to them. And very cool stuff as well. Full of very cool shadow boxing routines to teach you how to build momentum and add power. Very similar to what he's trying to do here. But teach you all the rules of pendulum boxing as well, so that you can learn to do these things. To add, I guess I read this guy, I can't remember what his name is, but he lives in Thailand, and he's a big Bruce Lee fan. He makes a bunch of Bruce Lee videos, but I can't remember his name. He's got a very slow... Anyway, he's actually kind of funny, but he put up a quote recently that said, after you teach somebody all the moves in boxing, the next step is to start teaching them, or not boxing, in martial arts, you have to teach them and increase their athleticism. And the Fouts boxing combat system is a combat system built to not only teach you the rules of fighting, to teach you how to get on the line, land your strikes, get off the line, the best, most efficient ways to do that, as well as full of film studies to teach you the concept, but also the best ways to do that and build speed and power and athleticism at the same time. Okay? It's actually an incredible system, and the only reason that I'm selling it is because it's what I want people to be learning when they sign up to my Patreon. It's what I want to be teaching them. So anyway, check it out. It's all the stuff that Paddy Pimblett here is kind of failing to learn from his coach here. Now, as we get back to the video, look at his foot on the ground, right? Again, throwing his most powerful punch at the end, the left hook here, and still dragging his back foot, not being able to plant it and get his weight to the back foot and really get his head off the line. I know it looks like it's off the line, but he's really not moving it all that much. A little bit tired here. And I want to talk about the saddest part about all of this. Okay, and the part that is the worst is this part. I hate this, though. And it's one of the biggest problems with boxing and poor boxing knowledge is that people don't understand how to get better. They get stuck with trying to follow too many bad rules and not being able to improve. And again, that's why the Fouts boxing combat system is just such a valuable tool. I highly recommend it. I'm selling it, but I wouldn't sell it if I thought that it wasn't good. Now, that's the interesting thing about call-outs, right? And again, just some really interesting ideas about his training and stuff. No offense, Paddy Pimblett. But the call-out. Now, I guess the call-out is... Because I've actually done this before. And usually, if you call people out, like this gentleman says, when you're advertising or marketing yourself as a coach or trainer, trying to teach this kind of nonsense, he's talking about my video, this is the hurt business, right? This guy's pro the idea of calling me out, right? Because this guy's saying this is horrendous. He doesn't understand what he's seeing. But Coach Anthony here, I actually called this guy out in the United States and said that I would fight him because he was talking shit and stealing my content. But the irony of him stealing my content and then coming to some of my other content and saying that I don't know what I'm talking about, and then laughing when I called him out to a fight and not saying yes, he'll fight me or no, he'll fight me, just saying wow. But then he comes and he has this guy, you're a joke, man, Eddie Chambers, ex-heavyweight fighter, fought for the world championship a couple times. He has this guy come to my channel, and I'm only like 5'6", 5'7". I'm not a big guy. Coach Anthony is like 6'1" or 6'2". He's a big guy. Eddie Chambers, 6'1", fought at heavyweight, 200-plus pounds. The only time he made less than 200 pounds was 199. The rest of the time, it was like 220 and up. So he's a big guy. I'm like 150, 160, 5'6". But here he is. I'll let you use both hands. I'll just use a jab, right? Trying to patronize me. But I accepted his fight. I said, let's do it. 3 rounds each, me and him. And then me and Fat Eddie, or Fat Freddy, Coach Anthony. And now I want to point out, a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, discrepancy. Actually, I'm not that great on Instagram, but nonetheless, I've called many coaches out for competition. I called Tony Jeffries out to spar. He didn't want to spar, even though he's a big fan of my work and my theories. He'll never tell you. He's my secret admirer. Called out Tom Yankello. Called out, who else? Who's that guy? Marvin Cook, the bladed stance guy. And nobody wants to fight. Nobody wants to get in the ring with me. And to be honest, that's okay. That's all right. So I propose to you, Mr. Paddy Pimblett, striking competition. I bet you $10,000, no, 10,000 euros that I can throw every punch harder than you. Every single punch. And I'll actually be at the Aberfeldy Boxing Club tomorrow at 12 UK time, obviously, if you want to show up, and we can film it, and we can even do something for charity if you're interested. But not only will I hit harder than you with every punch, but I'll also be able to teach you how to hit harder too. Very, very easily, teaching you just a few rules. Very, very simple stuff. Maybe we can collab and do something for charity, if I don't wind up being a fraud myself. But yeah, $10,000 or 10,000 euros that I am a better striker than you, and that I could easily teach you how to do it too. Anyway, I think that's the end of my video. I don't know if I remembered everything or not. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to send this video to Paddy Pimblett. I hope to see you at UFC London, bro.